Hiya. I'm back and I need to talk about some bugs because there's a lot of them and it's getting a little annoying. And I just want to document how much is actually just straight up broken. So right off the rip, something that's been broken all expansion. Sudden Demise the execute does not work in Delves. Does not work in the overworld, and that is because of the item level scaling that is applied to the overworld. And try and get a big thing going here. It's you can see it's not executing. And if you look, in fact, 1.9 or 1.5 mil. That's proccing, but you can easily tell that this is not the damage that it should be doing, right? And that is the scaling problems. So for the most part, Sudden Demise in the overworld and in Delves, not useful. Next up for this one, Twist the Knife is our target. There are some weird things going on with Twist the Knife sometimes, where the timers will simply match up, like so. And this is not a visual bug. The stacks just will drop at the same time, which is not how that should be happening. I'm a little unclear as to how it's doing it, but I can reasonably recreate it if you refresh Envenom with a... if you have two stacks and you refresh Envenom with a low combo point Envenom. Now, this isn't advised, obviously, but it's still not quite the way that things should work. Most of the time, it's fine. But then you do a low combo point Envenom, and they sync up because it eats the duration on the bigger stack. Our next target, still generalized on the spec tree, class tree, no hero talents or anything, is Sanguine Blades. Now, if you remember a week ago, roughly, at this point, they said that they're going to hotfix Caustic Spatter and stop it from double dipping. This is from the spec aura. So it was doing more damage than intended. I talked about this briefly in a previous video, but our spec aura, the global aura that applies to all of our abilities, was at 20%. So instead of Caustic Spatter doing 40%, this was doing 48%. The same thing is true with Sanguine Blades. This is 30% of damage dealt. However, if I were to pull up the ye olde details scroll, you'll find... I'll put this in a neat form, right? Be right back. Kaboom Flashbang, if you look, 393,000, 141,000. Clearly, bigger Garrote here is triggering this bigger Sanguine Blades hit. And if you divide the two, so 141,000, 393,000, you can see that this isn't 30%, this is 36%. Rounding error, obviously, a little bit, but it is 36%. 36% is 20% higher than intended, which was our spec aura. So that's still double dipping and doing more damage than intended. Hop on over to Fatebound for this, but you'll see hotfixes, right? This is the official World of Warcraft site, August 19th. Rogue, Fatebound fixed an issue that could cause the 4-piece class set's skill cooldown reduction effects to apply twice under certain conditions. We're about to see. We're about to see. If I go in and I flip my coins, do my cooldowns line up? The short answer, you might already be able to tell from my action bars, is no. The first attempt, everything's already desynced. Lily is a minute 30. So you'll see that my Kingsbane's about to come up 30 seconds later. My Deathmark is about to come up 30 seconds earlier. Nothing lines up with my Cold Blood because this came up earlier than my Cold Blood. There's also times where this will not proc and you will simply get a 2-minute cooldown. There is a way to kind of avoid this, but it is a little bit janky. The way to get around this is to wait until the lucky coin hit actually hits you. It's a projectile, so when you hit 7 in a row, there's a little coin that lands and it flies back into you. The fact that it's a projectile is what's making all of this very janky. We'll go into our normal, standard, whatever. And this time, we're going to wait. Bang, boom. And now everything lines up as intended. So if you're having troubles, try that maybe. Otherwise, you just have to hold. Why Blizzard said that it's fixed when it's not, I don't know. I guess the fix just didn't make it to live servers. That is the best explanation I have. Next bug, also related to Fatebound. You might have noticed you're getting some random combo points sometimes. Where could those random combo points be coming from? I'll tell you where. They're coming from Seal Fate and the Tails coin. The Tails coin, for some reason, is able to proc Seal Fate. I'm going to walk up to this target dummy, press Deathmark. It's going to flip 2 Tails coins, and I will get combo points. In this case, 3 because of double jeopardy, I guess. But 3 combo points. What? These are not generators. Critical strikes with attacks that generate... These don't generate combo points. I don't know. I don't know. You press your cooldowns, you flip a Tails coin, you get combo points. Let's look at some Deathstalker. Fatal Intent is our first target here. Now, the first bug is that this is pathetic. Like, the damage on this is really bad. However, it's also bugged, and it's hard to show that it's bugged, but I'll explain how it's bugged. First, however, I've been hitting this target dummy for 15 minutes straight. You might be able to see at the timer here. I don't know, maybe it's not. I have accumulated 165 stacks of Fatal Intent, just autoing this thing for 15 minutes. So you would expect, after 15 minutes, this should hit like a brick. Kaboom, we used the stacks. Fatal Intent did 47 million. Over the course of 15 minutes? However, first, the bug. Why bugged? We get the damage sucks, but why bug? Well, the thing is that 20% above 20% health have a very high chance to apply. Except you'll notice that this is a copy-paste from Dribbling Inkpod, which was a trinket from Battle for Azeroth. And here, it's 30% health. So what ends up happening, you can have a situation where you're applying stacks above 30% health, but Fatal Intent doesn't proc until 20%. Now, Fatal Intent only has a minute duration, so if there's like an intermission of some kind, or you're off the target, what ends up happening is you drop the stacks between these two values. You don't get the stacks anymore, they drop. So you just lose all effects, it fizzles out, right? Because while you can apply above 30, it doesn't proc until 20. So you need to make sure that that 10% band that's missing, you're able to actually get the proc off before it times out. This was also a problem back in the day on Ansrek in the first phase. However, Silken Court Mythic, this was one of our early kills. This was in February. And this was a 2-target encounter, had a little bit of ads. You'll see a bunch of stuff here. This was a trinket, right? Hunt them downs on here, mutilate Deathstalker mark, melee, singular focus. A couple of Fan and Knives cast. I only cast it with Clear the Witnesses, right? You have the the weapon enchant, Shiv, and then Fatal Intent. Like, this is an 8-minute fight, right? It did proc on all of the targets. It procced on both bosses here, and it doesn't do damage. This might be just straight up a tuning issue, but the fact that it can fizzle kind of blows. The next issue, Momentum of Despair. This increases your Fan and Knives crit chance as well as your Crimson Tempest crit chance. First of all, right off the bat, this says black powder. which is the sub-ability. But we don't have that on Assassination. We have Crimson Tempest. This one also says Black Powder when it should say Crimson Tempest. So before we even do any math or look at any numbers or look at any buffs at all, the tooltips are already screwed on this. Like, just straight up. Putting that aside, however, if you have your Deathstalker 2-piece and you press Shiv, Momentum of Despair simply does not work anymore. These are all crits. I mean, I am critting. I am not getting a buff. Now, the way to fix this is, I believe you can unequip the set bonus. Simply changing talents works. So, you'll see I have Momentum of Despair, Perma. This is always up, as it should be in AoE. Always up. Now I'm going to press Shiv. And it's timing out. It's not coming back. And now I'm bricked, right? Now my character's bricked, and I cannot get any effect from Momentum of Despair. Absolutely zero. It just doesn't work until I change talents once again. It's supposed to get buffed by the tier set, and you can see it get buffed by the tier set. If you press Shiv, the tooltip goes up. Now it's 24% and crit strike damage by 51. The tier set is intended to buff this, and instead it just breaks it. One more bug with Deathstalker, however. After the hotfix that we talked about earlier, which turned Caustic Spatter from 48% to 40, stopped it from double dipping, it also stopped affecting Singular Focus. Now, Singular Focus, to a large extent, a lot of that damage is Caustic Spatter. You hit one target, it deals damage to everything else, that damage comes back in. Caustic Spatter, in of itself, is a huge part of Singular Focus. However, now it just simply doesn't work anymore. Now, I can show this through Ye Old Friends in the details scroll. So you can kind of already tell there's a lot of Caustic Spatter happening and not a lot of Singular Focus as a return. The Singular Focus here is coming from all of the bleed ticks. So if we just look at Caustic Spatter, nothing really here is having any sort of Singular Focus attached to it. However, you'll see when there's bleed ticks, Singular Focus all of a sudden starts proccing. Right? There's Rupture ticks, Singular Focus procs. Deadly Poison ticks, Singular Focus procs. Caustic Spatter, nothing. Nothing. Oh, now Singular Focus comes back, right? It's not proccing off Caustic Spatter, and the easiest way to see this is from this log. Shoutouts to Elim, who helped test some stuff. He has Raiders Training Dummy 1 marked. And you'll see that Singular Focus doing 25,000, 12,000. That's off of the ticks here from Deadly Poison on Target Dummy 2 and 3. But these huge hits of Caustic Spatter damage, 2.6 million Caustic Spatter off of this big Envenom, they're not coming back in. And they definitely used to before the hotfix. So there is just a large portion of funnel that Assassination simply does not have anymore. The majority of the funnel here is just gone because Caustic Spatter isn't working anymore. This was working the whole expansion, But because they fixed the double dipping, it also removed it from Singular Focus. And last but not least, something not even rogue related, but yet another bug. You can see here, Lumathar Mystic, Wipe 19, 7 minutes. This was on the 20th. I have the same exact pull. Just gonna look through. Warlock number 1, Jastor Diamond. Warlock number 2, Jastor Diamond. Tank Death Knight, Jastor Diamond. Hunter, Jastor Diamond. So, Skelly, Omni, Zarcy, and Floodus. If you look at the uptime on the ring itself, they're not on the list. Omni has a high uptime. However, Skelly, completely missing. This is the same pull, right? Same pull. Omni's on here, Skelly's missing. So 2 Warlocks, one of them has a buff, one of them doesn't. Zarcy, tank, where is it? It's not here. Floodus, Hunter, again, not here. And I know this is kind of a known bug, because Liquid used to have a re-equipped Jastor Diamond, like weak aura to tell them to re-equip it. Re-equipping didn't do anything to fix this. I don't know what changed, or if there was a hotfix or some background change that broke it even further, but re-equipping it did not work. So my recommendation right now is that if you have a ring that's like 5-10 item levels higher than your Jastor Diamond, you just wear that instead. I am simply wearing a 701 that I got out of M+. This is just 20 item levels higher almost. I'm just wearing this. Sometimes it'll proc, sometimes it won't. And it's just not worth the hassle to think about whether or not you're going to have an effect on your ring. But those are all the bugs as of now. There might be more. At least these are the impactful ones. And Blizzard, please fix. I am sort of losing it because none of my numbers make sense anymore, and I can't recommend Deathstalker on half the fights anymore because the funnel was like a big part of Deathstalker. Momentum of Despair was a big part of Deathstalker's AoE. Neither one of those work, and so I'm standing there at Soulbinder. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do big AoE, and then I can't funnel. I can't funnel on Soulbinder, and I can't funnel on Forgeweaver because the talents that allow me to funnel aren't funneling, because one of them simply doesn't work, and the other one isn't working with my main AoE when I'm in raids. The Caustic Spatter fix alone, like the reversing of the Spec Aura, stopping it from double dipping, if you combine that with Singular Focus, it is a 10% nerf in AoE. 10% nerf in AoE for a hotfix of a bug. Some specs don't even see 10% worth of tuning in a patch, and we got a random hotfix in the middle of the week for 10% of our AoE? Dude! And that's not even counting the random breaking of Momentum of Despair. This is another, like, 4% talent. We're just doing, like, 15% less AoE if you have this talented. Now, you can target, like, you can kill into Follow the Blood and make up the difference again. Most people are running Follow the Blood because it was marginally better to begin with. But, like, a lot of people run Momentum of Despair still, especially in raids, because you don't take Crimson Tempest, and you want the crit chance. So in raids, you just lose. You're losing so much damage from a hotfix. And then the worst part is, like, okay, you know that, like, Caustic Spatter's double dipping, it shouldn't double dip. Okay, good change. Great. The Fatebound tier set is double procking, sometimes not procking at all. Great. It gets addressed. It gets addressed by Blizzard. It gets posted in a blog post where it says, hey, we fixed this. This isn't a problem anymore. And immediately after, it's still a problem. That was 4 days ago as of the time of recording. It is now end of the day on Saturday, and the fix hasn't come through yet. So I'm not sure what's going on, but the hot fix didn't hot or fix. It did neither of those things. And I gave, like, a couple days. I didn't, like, immediately go, hey, it's, you know, a big video where I complain yet again. I gave time. It's been the entire back half of the week. But how is it that there's so many things that are bugged, and then when something is allegedly fixed, it's not fixed? This might be the buggiest patch Rogue has ever seen. I say that sincerely. It is so bad because I can't tell anymore what's better or worse, right? Like, Deathstalker has huge funnel, but not anymore, so do you still play this on funnel fights? Well, maybe, but maybe not. But I also can't tell how good Fatebound is as a baseline, because my cooldown's all over the place, and I'm randomly getting a bunch of extra combo points. Because the Tails coin's flipping. So not only is Fatebound inconsistent in terms of the bug of my cooldowns, it's inconsistent in how many combo points I'm supposed to be getting. I'm getting more combo points than I'm supposed to. So I don't have a good baseline on Deathstalker because half of these talents don't work. And then Fatebound, I don't have a good baseline either because I have to, like, delay my cooldowns to make sure I don't proc. That cooldown reduction thing can happen mid-pull. Randomly in the middle of a pull, you just randomly get an extra 30 seconds off your death mark, and you go, okay. Do I hold now? You get random combo points from Hand of Fate. So I'm just getting extra Envenoms? It's so strange. Everything is so strange, and I can't tell anymore. Like, there's so many fundamental bugs that I cannot tell which of the hero talents is supposed to be the recommended one anymore. And I pray to someone listening, like, that's any of these get fixed. Any of them. They're so... To take your pick. There's a charcuterie board of bugs for you to fix. And any of them, please. I can't anymore. I go on forever. But have a good one, guys. Buy the patch is so bad, but the spec is really fun. Everything's really fun. The raid's really fun. I need things to work. Bye.